Very good morning to you. Welcome to the Morning Brief right here on Channels Television. I'm Jeffrey Uzanga.
Well, it's a bright Thursday morning. Welcome to your perfect morning starter. It's the Morning Brief on Channels Television. We hope you're doing well, but it's about to get better as we help you make sense of all the leading stories, of course, in the last 24 hours. I am Bukola Koga.
I feel like checking in on Nigerians to find out exactly how you are doing, because I can tell you for a fact from what we see, read, and know and experience that it's not easy being a Nigerian right now, given the situation of the economy. And that's why I keep telling the people in government, you need to act and act pretty fast. And this is not about politics. It's not about 2027. It's about the fact that the economic policies of the president said is necessary for future gain. Is really putting a lot of hardship on the lives of Nigerians. And the simple one, convoluted by the war in Iran, has to do with the prompt price of petrol, which is about 1314, depending on where you buy them from. I can imagine how that knock-on effect happens to all of us. I call something the egg standard, and it's one of the things I used to debate with the people in government when they throw macroeconomic numbers at me, and I tell them, you're not saying anything I'm not familiar with. I know macroeconomics pretty well, but a man who is out there who used to buy this at this price and is now buying that at maybe 500% more, 200% more, 100% more, wouldn't understand what you're talking about. And so even the macroeconomic numbers, there are good sides and there are bad sides. The FX reserve is touted as the big one, of course. We talked about debt service to revenue, which is better than the previous administration. We can go on to talk about how they've tapered inflation, although it's high, but interest rate is high. They've talked about harmonization of the currency, which is a good thing. But that has also cost us a lot, because no more subsidy on that harmonized on the FX now. So although it's stable, it's staying at 1,300 or so, 1,360, 1,340, depending on the day and how things happen. So there has to be a way for macroeconomic dashboard, the good element of it, because I can even add the debt burden, 159 or so trillion, and there are more borrowings coming because it's provided for. So when I hear people say, why is the government borrowing? It is provided for in the Constitution. So if you don't want the government to borrow, begin to hold them accountable to make sure that they streamline the budget of the country so that the deficit is not as wide. Every country borrows. Every country is in debt. In fact, some of the biggest countries in the world are the most indebted countries in the world. But how it is managed is the problem. What they use that money for. That's why I remember Ajuri Ngalale, for instance, one thing he did when he was media and publicity special advisor to the president then was to make sure that when they were borrowing certain amounts of money, whether it's a multilateral kind of borrowing or loan or bilateral, any form of borrowing that is in that form, that is in the lump sum that people always scream about, he tries to tie to a project, say, this money we're borrowing, this and this and this and this and this. If you go, I'm sure if we go back to his tweets, we'll be able to see all of that. Such is what we'll be expecting from the administration. But because where I'm going to with all of this is that the government must realize that the economy is biting hard. And it's almost a piss off when people tell me, oh, the NGX is rallying. No, that is not. Let's just look at how the economy is distributed. We need those big companies to give us those good numbers so that we can attract more investment, whether it's FPI or FDI. But the small, medium-scale enterprises, they are the biggest driver of the economy.
Absolutely.
In terms of percentage distribution of how many people they employ, how many businesses come up and have gone down. So it's important. People are going through hell and warm water because of the policies of government. And all the government tries to say is it will take time. I agree, it will take time. But you are also not showing that you are prudent enough in the management of the resources. I mean, the lifestyle, the expenditure, some of them we see, we need to ask a lot of questions. I know people are debating over presidential jet and all of that. Nigerians just want a situation where they're not looking for a miracle. No. Nobody's looking for a miracle. Nobody's even looking for a handout. But when will the macroeconomic, the good part of the macroeconomic dashboard trickle down to the micro so that people can have a sigh of relief, being able to pay their rent, pay their children's school fee, eat some level of a good meal, be able to take themselves to and from work. I hear people now work on the island. Some have to go on Monday and come back on Friday. some stay in their cars. These are the realities. So when you debate with us, we're not just talking, we're speaking with people, we're observing. And if you don't do something, it will come and bite you.
Well, Jeffrey, well said. I'm wondering, you talk about the egg standard. I'm wondering if Nigerians now have to substitute egg for meat. Yes, those are real questions. If they have
egg
to
is even expensive, Bukola.
Yes, but perhaps not as expensive as beef. You know, beef is now very expensive. We go to the market. What you used to purchase for maybe 5,000 naira in measure in the past now goes for as high as 20,000 naira. You know, don't even go near chicken because that disappears very fast, you know, from your kitchen soups or from your freezers and all of that. I'm wondering how they're moving money around in order to prioritize and pay for the best, pay for the most important things. I'm wondering, you know, what education is like, if indeed, you know, some people are not even able to subscribe to the loan in the education scheme, the NEL fund offer. You know, I'm wondering how Nigerians are coping with transportation. You talked about some people perhaps, you know, having to do 5 days at work and then return home at the weekends. How is this impacting on families, on family life? How are women, you know, juggling work-life balance amid this, you know, economic crunch? And, you know, the irony is that, you know, some are purchasing presidential forms, governorship forms that go for as high as 50 million naira, 100 million naira for candidates. You know, and this is the paradox of our situation currently in the country. And amid all of this, Jeffrey, news came through that, you know, a judge of a federal high court in Abuja has convicted a former minister of power for money laundering allegations to the tune of 33.3 billion naira. And, you know, it's interesting to note that in perhaps what you call, Jeffrey, the obiter dictum of that verdict, you know, when the judge's verdict was handed down in the last adjourned date, the judge did note that, you know, perhaps the power minister, former power minister, did not even attempt to leave a legacy, that he lived a very luxurious lifestyle at the expense of Nigerians. So, you know, those cues, one should watch out for them in the verdict that has been delivered by the judge, and ask if, because this is now a conviction, it's no longer in the realm of speculation. So what are the powers? What's the extent of corruption in ministries, departments, and agencies? What are the powers, the executive powers, you know, of a minister? What is the level of influence when it comes to procurement and projects execution? Was this perhaps carried out alone, or there are other, perhaps civil servants, other government officials in the mix, you know, that were in cahoots with the minister when this level of corruption was being perpetrated? And so in the future, how do we review the powers of an executive, you know, such that there are other officials in the mix that provide some form of checks and scrutiny to the execution of projects? How do we end corruption in the public service? Because corruption perhaps is the bane of Nigeria's problem. It's been said that, you know, revenue is not the challenge. It's the expenditure that is the challenge that Nigeria really and truly has. Because if, you know, the Constitution allows for loan procurement, for the government to secure loan, then how is that loan being expended such that those who really should get it in the provision of infrastructure and the delivery of other services that are critical, you know, to the survival of the people and the actualization of their dreams, is that truly the case? Is it going right down to the grassroots? The answer lies in the indicators, the human development indicators that we see around us every day. The epidemics, the lack of officials and infrastructure in public health institutions, in our education institutions. The answers are there. But is anyone alarmed, Jeffrey?
Yes, so let's also tell you about the president's movement. He left France. Remember, I was in France for the better part of this trip, and he headed down to Nairobi, Kenya, where it was at the Africa Forward Summit with other heads of state and business executives across the continent. Well, the president has now headed down to Kigali in Rwanda for a state visit. President Bola Tinubu and President Paul Kagame have resolved to activate mechanisms to deepen bilateral relationship between Nigeria and Rwanda. Both leaders emphasized the importance of reviving the Joint Permanent Ministerial Commission, that's known as the GPMC, originally signed by both countries in 2021, a vital platform for advancing their shared objectives. They also agreed that President Tinubu stated that Nigeria would seriously consider reciprocating Rwanda's 30-day visa-free status for Nigerians in the spirit of Pan-Africanism. The two presidents also discussed the activation of pending memoranda of understanding in areas of tourism, illicit drugs, and anti-corruption, underscoring President Tinubu's commitment to inter-African integration, mutual respect, and shared prosperity. So that's, Bukola, the president is a three-nation visit or tour, and it should be expected back, I think it's 1 or 2 days, I can't remember, it's this trip, and then the president is expected back. You know, whenever I hear that African leaders are meeting, even Paul Kagame, some of us are advising that I think it's time to take a bow. After this, his tenure has expired, because it's been there since I can't remember the exact time, I need to look that up. But it's been there for a long time, and he's done a very fantastic job. Rwanda is one of Africa's pride in terms of how countries should be governed, how countries should be managed. So we are proud of Rwanda as an African country, some of the bright lights of Africa. But I think it's time to also excuse himself. I feel that sometimes, Bukola, when African leaders meet in their AU meetings, I just call it Elders Council meeting, they should actually be talking about insisting that these old men, with the greatest respect, should just excuse themselves from power. You know, the likes of Paul Bille, Yoweri Museveni, and the many people who have turned democracy into a monarchy. And then the issue around border, can't be traveling to African countries and I need a visa, for God's sake. It doesn't make any sense. It shouldn't be more expensive to trade amongst us than to trade across the continent from Africa to the rest of the world. It doesn't make sense. So the issue of electricity, the issue of power, the issue of infrastructure, and I'm happy they raised the issue of borrowings. We borrow at very expensive amounts because of our credit rating, and I think we need a total new global financial architecture. But let's take a listen to some of the excerpts of what played out in Kigali.
The discussions were very, very cordial. You know, the sacrifice it is for the president to be here at this time, signifying the importance of the relationship between the two countries and why Mr. President is here today. They're both leaders in the EFCFTA. As you know, Nigeria is co-champion on digital trade. We talked about how to leverage the African Continental Free Trade Area. They talked about the importance of accelerating the pace at which we're trading. We talked about ongoing relations. You know, last year we entered into an air cargo corridor arrangement with Uganda Airways. We're also in talks with Rwandan Airways to see how Nigerian businesses can export more of their goods across the continent. And so those are the kinds of trading goods and trading services. We also had the discussion from other colleagues, briefing both presidents, and it was a very fruitful deliberation. As you know, we're coming from Nairobi, where we had the Africa-France intervention, the Africa Forward Summit. There we had about 40 CEOs from across the continent, both African and French, at the table talking to heads of state. Mr. President was also there, talking about green industrialization and how to make sure that capital is consolidated on the continent to leverage what we need to do as Africans for Africans.
Well said, action. So when the president comes back, I will do my usual daddy oyoyo. So it looks like I'm getting the oyoyos in memorandum, in discussions. But we need the FDIs. We need all of the action. The African continent needs to speak as one. But let's remind people that, of course, that sentencing was explaining. I think 75 years for Maman Saleh, but I think it's going to be like 10.
And it's to run consecutively, not concurrently.
Yeah, no. Like, I think altogether concurrently. Yes.
I could have sworn that I read that the judge ordered that it's to run consecutively and not concurrently.
Well,
you have to get that.
We'll check that out, because most of the time maybe it's about 10 or 15 years at the end. But it's supposed to run concurrently, because it's counts, and then you run all of it at the same time. I
think we should check.
No, I'm telling you. Let's take a break, and when we come back, but before we take a break and come back, let's tell you that there are many big issues we're discussing today. One is an environmental issue that you would like to pay attention to. Just imagine living in your house and you're seeing gas bubbles and then fire from the ground, and you're not in hellfire. That's one conversation. And then the issue about what played out at the University of UUTH Teaching Hospital between the officials of the medical practice and the EFCC. That's part of our conversation. Stay with us.
Welcome back. So let's get into the papers, and it's an interesting mix from the front pages today. But of course, our guests will do justice to some of the biggest stories, and we have joining us virtually from Enugu, Dr. Andrew Igboke, who is the head of the Guild of Public Affairs Analysts in Enugu State. Dr. Igboke, good morning and welcome to the Morning Brief. Today you get your full doctoral compliments following that order by the federal government.
Thank you very much. Until the federal government has given us, conferred on us the validity.
Indeed. So I'm spoiled for choice this morning, but I'd really like to begin with the bigger story from yesterday. Court jails, and I'm looking into the front page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. And the big story reads thus: 33 billion naira fraud, court jails, ex-power minister for 75 years. Maman sentenced in absentia. Judge orders Interpol, security agencies, to arrest him anywhere, of course, because he was absent in court on the last adjourned date and on the day of sentencing. And EFCC arrests Energy Commission DG over alleged 500 billion naira money laundering. Now, when you hear the sums involved in the allegations, 12 counts, by the way, and this, conviction and sentencing, what comes to your mind, Dr. Igboke?
Well, what comes to my mind is that people get daring, to commit more atrocities in terms of corruption, because in the past, a lot of people get away with it. Remember the director, is it deputy director, that said a snake swallowed money in his office. Also remember where a country where a director in the ministry is having access to loot over 20 billion naira, having access to 10 billion. So it just surprised me that a minister have access to 3 billion. And I would say, in quotes, mere 3 billion, because in this country, the amount we hear that that are stolen, even at the local government level, makes 3 billion to be called a mere 3 billion. The man will appeal, and I think before he does his own appeal, he may get it quashed at the end of the day, or he may go to prison, and at the end of the day, he may live in a comfortable part of jail prison or whatever prison you think. Or at the end of the day, too, he may get presidential pardon, just like Mr. Lawal got presidential pardon, and he wants to contest for 2027 election. These are the kinds of things we see in Nigeria. Why does corruption keep on ballooning? It's because there are no consequences for corruption. Those in office are doing it. Those outside the office are doing it. In fact, it gets to a point in this country, we are already there, where when you try people like this former minister now, these people will start saying, oh, it's witch hunting, because some people are jealous of him. He's helping the masses with stolen money. I think our moral code is so perverse that corruption is now seen as the norm. And if you want to be straight or you want to be honest, you are seen as somebody who just landed from the moon. You are still like a queer fellow because you are trying to do the right things. And until we begin to really take corrections and try to improve our moral code, these issues will come out and play. At the end of the day, you may just do plea bargain, or you may do all kinds of things that are elite consensus in settling these cases, and you may go scot-free by appeals and by maybe having some kind of plea bargain. Nigeria is a big hub for corruption, and we are not doing anything about it, both as government and both as citizens. And until we get serious about it, we continue to see so much of this. So whether you arrest this, sometimes these people don't do it alone. They do it in cahoots with people in the power. And at the end of the day, you just do sensational media headlines like this. And at the end of the day, you don't see anything. It fizzles out. And Nigerians are very good at our collective amnesia. And if government know this, and politicians and public officers know this, that Nigerians are quick to forget. So immediately this thing happens, after a while, it goes under the carpet, and we continue our life into a journey of, corruption petition.
Interesting. Let's go to the Vanguard newspaper. Let's get there. And that leads with politics. APC primaries, petitions pouring as party clears Uzodinma, Fubara, Ali, orders. Axe dangles on Adelabu. No governor disqualified. Alleged imposition threatens Oyo APC. Ayedativa bows to pressure to conduct direct primaries. Go ahead, sir.
Geoffrey, I knew that this will come, and this last-minute rush for a lot of people to go into APC will actually constitute serious challenges for the party. Because the other people see themselves as we are the original owners of the party. They keep seeing the other people as usurpers. But unfortunately, the so-called usurpers are the people with the, with the weight, political weight to turn things around. For example, a lot of governors are in this new bloc that came in and took over the party leadership, because the party at the national level said that once a governor cross carpets into the APC, automatically the governor becomes the leader of the party, which is a convention, I think, laid down by PDP those days. For the people who have been there, they keep more money. A lot of states, the older folks who were in the party have been thrown out, and then the new congresses brought in the new guys that came in. So naturally, we expect frictions. We expect cantankerous moves. We will expect betrayals. By the people who have been, dismembered and asked to leave or somehow. A lot of them have gone to the new political parties. Some of them are frolicking with the PDP, wiki-led PDP. Some of them are in the ADC. Some of them have gone to NDC. We will see a lot of fireworks ahead, because also a lot of complaint about that they were not screened. Some were saying that they didn't were allowed to buy forms. So a lot of complaints. I predicted some time ago that after candidates would have emerged, that is where we will know whether the APC is still standing strong or not. Because leading to the election, all the people who are aggrieved, some of them, a large number of them may remain in the party because congresses have been concluded in many parties and the rest, and so they may not want to leave and become vagus in the political terrain. But they would like to, they will stay, and in staying, they will be able to unsettle the APC from inside. That's what I see happening from July, and APC needs to know how to manage this very well. Look at what is happening in Rivers State. It's a clash of serious interest also. Many other states are like that too. Delta State is having its own fair share of its senator and some other people. So it's going to be an interesting firework, and if APC does not handle it well, they may be going the way of PDP. But I hope that they'll be able to handle it, because actually we don't need tensions in the political landscape.
Indeed, that is what the political landscape certainly does not need at this particular point in time. The country has enough on its plate where security is concerned. But what Vanguard is also reporting this morning is that in Rivers, Governor Fubara has been cleared. But we did hear the governor say that whatever happens, he remains in the APC yesterday. So yeah, perhaps is this confirmation that he has indeed been cleared. We hope to get more clarity from Rivers State as far as this is concerned. But let's head to New Telegraph now, which takes a detour from the other big political and court stories. This one is as borders on security. UN calls for independent probes into Nigeria, Chad airstrikes. It's a page 3 and 29. Pages 3 and 29 is where you find details. And there are two riders here. DHQ insists no civilian casualties in Zamfara bombings. That's the latest, but it also provided clarity earlier in the week about the airstrikes in Niger State, Shiroro local government to be precise, that there was no civilian casualties in that particular operation. There's another rider here. Terrorism. Lakurawa members killed 2 customs officers in Kebbi. That's ascribed to the customs boss. But Mr. Dr. Buke, do you have any alternative views different from the position that the DHQ continues to offer as far as these airstrikes are concerned? Remember, it's not just Zamfara, not just Niger. There's also that of Gili Market in Yobe State on the border with Borno.
Well, I think for the benefit of doubt and for the purpose of honesty, we must credit the DHQ, the Defense Headquarters, for agreeing, although sometimes they tend to deny, but they have also turned around in many occasions to admit that there was error. There were errors in their airstrikes, and especially the issues of friendly fires. But again, the question is not whether they admit it or not, or whether they came out to say what happened. The question remains, why are they still happening? So I wonder, the technologies exist for precision strikes. So why is it that our planes are not, having the necessary equipment to be able to, or the necessary technology to have precision strikes? Or is it that we don't have drones that we can teleguide to have precision strikes? I thought that we had all these things budgeted for and purchased a long time ago. So the DHQ should not always having these issues of, in warfare, there are mistakes that can happen, friendly fire, but these are far in between and, very rare. But in our own case, we are keep on reporting it almost on, quarterly basis, sometimes, 6 or 12 times, 10 times in a year. I mean, this has to stop. Our military should deploy guided drones that can be, sent to do precision strikes. I mean, these technologies are abound. We have them already. So why are we killing our own citizens in the name of mistakes or friendly fires? I think this should not be allowed to happen. And I think the Chief of Defense Staff and the Minister for Defense and the Commander-in-Chief should critically look into this, because the excuses are becoming too much and they're beginning to look like if it is, on purpose. So let's get, if we don't have it, then let's go and get them. I mean, these things can be purchased easily through agreements.
Oh yeah, it appears that we have lost connection through to Dr. Igboke. We hope the network would return, better and brighter this time around as we continue our reflections on the biggest stories on the front pages of the dailies. But indeed, we hope for more clarity from the Defense Headquarters as the UN now weighs in on these airstrikes. So it's no longer a mere, domestic or, if you like, national security concern. It's now a concern, also shared by the international community. And, we just wonder, if indeed some of the locals are saying that these airstrikes affect civilian casualty, we need more information where that is concerned. Families coming through to say that some of their loved ones have been affected. in these airstrikes? Why do we have, people still conducting business or any form of activity around areas that have been declared terrorist zones, like, Yobe State? There should be more details, from these areas. But there are other stories on the front pages of the on the front page rather of New Telegraph, that compel reflection this morning, where politics is concerned. Look at the bottom page. Zoning constitutionally, morally acceptable. Opposing it an anomaly. That's ascribed to a retired General E. Kwomwem. And, that's getting the attention of political pundits, especially with the entry into the race on the platform of the PDP of businessman and PDP chieftain, Mr. Hayatuddin, who has also appealed to the party, to prioritize competence, merit over zoning. So we see more, actors in the race on the part of the PDP. And it was interesting to also hear from the senator representing Edo North yesterday, who said, perhaps if you like, with some form of skepticism underneath, that the former vice president and traditional runner for the presidential race is now their own chief marketer, as he begins to carpet, or if you like, criticize Mr. Peter Obi, who is clearly running on the platform of the NDC. So the race hots up even as it gets more interesting. I hope you're back, Dr. Bouquet, to weigh in also additionally to the story on zoning from the front page of New Telegraph. Okay, he's not back yet. Jeffrey.
Politics and the many shreds of it. As I always say that I'm just waiting for the 30th when all of this will be over. We're very clear on who is representing what party. I think the APC, for instance, is a lineup of activities, House of Representatives, their primaries. I think it's on Friday, and then the Senate on Monday. The House of Assembly, governorship, the presidential should be the last one, which is going to be more of an endorsement of the president, because the activities are already geared up. For other parties, well, it looks like the ADC, we don't know where they are going. Maybe they'll be going north. They may look like the only ones that may be going north, given articles of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar's steady interest in running for office of vice president. Some people have criticized him that irrespective of which zone the presidency is zoned to, unofficially, because Nigeria, we don't have it in our constitution. At any time, anybody can contest from any time, anywhere. But Atiku has been contested, whether it's the turn of the south, the turn of the north. So people have said, can you just chill? But it's within his rights to do what he has to do. Politics is more than you see. It's more of what you do not see. I don't want to say more than that. But this Nigeria, Bukola, you're right, is the sentence of Maman is consecutively. And not concurrently. That's as good as a life sentence, because the man is already 68 or so. And if you add 75 years to his life, well, he's not been arrested. The judge has said his sentence will start the day he's arrested. So as it is now, the sentence has not started running. There were about 12 or 13 count charge. The sentences have not started running. It's when they arrest him. Of course, he has a right to appeal to the appellate court. He can get all the way to the Supreme Court. So he still has an opportunity within the law. It looks like he's hiding. We don't know, but at least he's not been declared wanted yet. The judge has said, find him. I think the only person that has been declared wanted is a former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Umar Sadiq. She's also been declared wanted by the EFCC. I saw that publication by the EFCC a few days ago. I hope I'm correct on that. This is the front page of This Nigeria. Hospitals operating with touchlights. Shameful, PDP tells Osun as Cross River kicks. So that's the story coming in from Cross River. The opposition party in the state taking on the ruling party as far as the issue of healthcare is concerned. And just by neighboring Akwa Ibom State, which was created from Cross River, we're going to be talking about what played out at the UUTH teaching hospital as well, and get a clearer picture of what would have done, whether who is wrong here, whether it's the EFCC or the medical practitioners, and find a middle ground. Because the problem now is that the doctors have also gone on strike,
Yeah.
People were tear gassed, and I don't know why that should happen in such environment. But we'll try to invite the EFCC to come and explain what happened. They said they've released a statement, and that should surface well. We'll see how that plays out. But guys, we'll take a break, and when we come back after this break, we'll start off with politics before we get to the other issues. Remember, politics, environmental issue that I talked about, that has to do with you looking at your environment, and all of a sudden you see bubbling of gas. Somewhere in River State, the community just sees gas bubbles. They call it, I've forgotten the exact word now, but you should just see...
Methane?
It's not a gas itself. I'm talking about what that concept is called in science. So you just see water bubbling, and then you see...
But it's as a result of gas leakage.
Yes.
That's what we should
There's
clarify.
Even fire.
Yes.
There's even fire.
Sometimes we've seen fire in some of the videos coming through from that
somewhere
community.
in River State, in Degama local government. And so it's a packed show. And these are the things we like to talk about, you know, that affects the lives of people. Why is Nostra not doing anything? Or have they done something, or they are not doing enough? But first, we'll talk politics, and we'll head to Osun State. Stay with us. Welcome back. In August, the people of Osun State will make a decision whether or not to continue with Governor Adeleke, who is the incumbent governor of the state, under the platform of a court party, or they will choose other candidates from other platforms. So the political temperature is getting to a crescendo, but it just got started. Yesterday, we had the Commissioner of Information talking about some things that had happened in the state. Now we have some kind of a right of response or reply, if you will. Mr. Adeba Adeleke is the Director General, Osun Central APC Campaign Council, former Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs in Osun State. Mr. Adeleke, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, Buki. Thank you, viewers at home. It's really nice being with you this morning.
Mr. Adeleke, why do you want your namesake out of the job?
Jeffrey, same name, different culture, different ideas, different characters, different political parties. Thank you.
Is it the same family?
Not of the same family at all, from the same Osun State. Bayo Adeleke is a prince from Ire in Borikwe local government, while Governor Adeleke is an Edeman.
Okay. Okay, I just needed to get it out of the way, because when I read out the name, I wanted to be sure I'm not having things mixed up. Yes, I wanted to be double sure. All right, Mr. Adeleke, let's talk about, I don't know whether you had an opportunity to sit down, maybe see some of the excerpts of the conversation we had with Mr. Dolapo Alimi yesterday, the commissioner. They've been accusing your party of certain things, including some of the things that were shown on screen, which had to do with the destruction of their billboards, a hostile environment. In fact, let me put it this way, more like making the state look, quote unquote, these are my words, not his, ungovernable, some level of chaos as a premise to be able to make a case for the removal of the governor via the ballot. Is that what the APC is doing in Osun State?
Well, when a government is built on, I'm sorry to say this, on deceit, lying and denying, that is what you get from just a state. I want to tell you categorically that the PDP-led administration, the Governor Adeleke-led administration in Osun State, has been built on deceit, lying and denying. Nothing of church. That accusation given to our party, that was a calculated attempt to mar the good image of our party, which is a party to beat in Osun State today. And it is a calculated attempt to tell the whole world, to make it look like they are being cheated. I mean, how can the governor that is the head, is the security chief of the state, be talking of destruction of their own billboard. Kola Kwalimi yesterday was saying the police were there, they saw them, and those people destroying the billboard were armed. Unfortunately, the police could not get anyone. No video of church. I mean, all these frivolous accusations, I think it's enough they stop that. They are doing all this because the perceived popularity of Governor Adeleke is going down on a daily basis. There's a place we call Ayetoro in Osogbo, around Onishekere. All the billboards of our party, of our candidate, Bola Oyebamiji, were being destroyed by PDP thugs. They come out openly, even in the broad daylight, chanting war songs. And because the governor has lost, he's not in charge of the security architect of the state. He's not doing anything about security. The police are complaining. They don't even have equipment to work with. So this governor really lost it. It is a lie. Look at this one. Last week, a release came out from this same Commissioner for Information of Mr. Governor, where they accuse our party of attempting to assassinate Bille. The police did their thorough investigation. They came out to say that the allegation was frivolous. It is because their popularity is going down on a daily basis. On a daily basis, people from the Accord Party or PDP party are moving into our party. APC is the party to beat today. And they are making several attempts to tarnish the image of this good man that APC presented, the man that does not have a tainted character, Bola Oyebamiji. It's all about lying. Yes, some of their billboards were destroyed. I saw that. But at the same time, many of our own billboards were destroyed. Our billboards that were even closed directly opposite our campaign office, they were destroyed. But you are the chief security officer of the state. You are the one that's supposed to unravel so many things, high crime in Osun that are today unraveled. What do you expect of a governor that supersedes a security outfit called Amotekun in the state, and in the broad daylight, members of Amotekun went to kill innocent people in Akinlalu in Osun State? What do you talk of a governor that is to pretend? Yes.
Well, we're going to assume that those are allegations, unless you have evidence to prove that indeed.
These are allegations.
The security initiative in the state killed people in broad daylight. If they're going, we're going to leave that in the realm of allegations until we have evidence to prove the claims that you're making. But Mr. Alimi did say yesterday. Mr. Alimi did, pardon me, sir. Mr. Alimi did say yesterday that some of the billboards of the APC aspirant, or if you like, candidate, were put up without even the statutory permits that ought to have been secured from the relevant agency in Osun State. Yet they're allowed to go on erected without any challenge, but that the billboards of the Accord Party candidate, who is the governor, I believe, are even erected on very high structures, but somehow those who remove it find a way to remove it. But that could not have been done without some form of boldness and a level of impunity, and therefore they're saying that this could only have been done by APC thugs or APC sponsored, hoodlums. So how do you respond to these allegations put forward by Mr. Alimi? Mr. Adeleke, did you get my question? All right. We hope that Mr. Alimi is able to return, but it appears a very tense, from all indications, a very tense political situation in Osun State. From what we are hearing from Mr. Adeleke, a lot of the billboards of the APC candidate, I'm not quite sure he has been confirmed in Osun. It should have been confirmed because the elections in Osun are staggered elections, and therefore they'll be held in August this year,
the candidate,
not 2027. So that's the candidate.
It's not an aspirant.
So in Electoral, he mentioned Electoral that those billboards also were put down, they were destroyed, and he is leveling this allegation against the Accord Party-led government in Osun State. So who do we believe now? You know, amid all of this allegations and counter-allegations, it's really an interesting development. So we have Mr. Adeleke back now.
Yeah, Buki, thank you. If I heard you so well, your question was that they accuse our party of destroying their billboards and things.
And securing your own billboards without permit.
No, Buki, that's a big lie. You see, the point is, if you get a billboard and you don't have permit, what they do is they go and mark an X. Is it how you come and pay? There's no billboard we have that we do without permit. That accusation should even go back to the Accord Party. And let me tell you this, the old signage that is in charge of this billboard in Osun State is an agency of the state government. Before you get approval from old signage, there was a time they said, in old signage, they told us that if you want to erect your billboard, logo of APC party must not appear. At a point, I had to put a call to the man in charge. I said, is this politics? Do we win election through billboard? No. This is not our own make. And the story I got was, many social engagement happened during that week in Osun. Period appearance, Davido's appearance, some money were given to some so-called hoodlums, and in the course of sharing it, they cheated one another. Those one got mad at PDP. They started destroying billboard. But at the same time, our own billboard were also destroyed. But the point I'm making is, if you are in control of the security sector of your state, Mr. Governor, you should be able to unravel this. Kolakwa Limi yesterday said the police saw them doing it. And they said they came in convoy. Not one vehicle, not two vehicles. And they were armed. And the police saw them. What did the police do? That's a lie. And he even said that the DPO of a particular station in Osun claimed that they were APC guys. That's a lie. And like I said, the same lie they told on the attempted assassination of Bille, the son of Governor Adeleke. The police did their investigation and discovered that it was a lie. And like I said, Buki, a PDP government is a government that is built, nurtured, watered on deceit, lying, and denying. I won't lie to you.
All right, Mr. Adeleke, let's talk about why the fight, why the war or literal war song across board now is accusation, counter-accusation on both sides. So we don't even know who to believe. That's why we had to bring everybody to the table to say, okay, this is what is playing out in the state. While you are saying they are doing it, they are saying you're the one doing it. But let's move on to issues around governance. Why you think that your candidate is preferred to the governor? And the reason I'm asking that is to the effect that I remember when the fallout between Rauf Aregbesola happened. You know, he had left the APC to other party and now to the ADC. And then in the midst of all of that, the special advisor to the president on information and strategy, I think that's the designation, Mr. Bayo Onanuga, had literally taken Mr. Aregbesola to the cleaners, literally saying, look, he mismanaged the state's resources where salaries were owed and all of that under the era of the APC. And then some work was being done by former Governor Oyetola, who managed some of those issues, but there were still issues around managing resources of the state and taking care of the welfare workers. But I don't think we've heard since the administration of Ademola Adeleke that workers are being owed. There may be shortcomings in other areas. So I'm building all of this, especially in the area of workers' welfare, as an example to say it looks like it's better under Adeleke than it was under the previous administrations. You can correct me if I'm wrong. So why do you guys want him out of the job?
Jeffrey, first of all, let me tell you this, that Demola Adeleke is paying workers' salary as at when due is not an achievement. Governor Oyetola, for the 4 years that he ruled Osun State, never owed salary a dime, and workers a dime. He did not borrow any money, and he was paid salary as at every 25th of the month. So payment of workers' salary was stabilized during the regime of Alhaji Oyetola. That's number one. Number two, it will interest you to know that Osun State has got a little below 1 trillion naira in federal allocation and grants in the last 3.5 years. It will interest you that the only achievement that the government of Governor Adeleke is claiming to have gotten is this pancake flyover bridges and payment of workers' salary. Let me ask you this. The total amount of half salary owed by the previous administration, the administration of Governor Rauf Aregbesola, was less than 25 billion. So far now, the humongous amount of money, federal allocation that came to Osun is close to 1 trillion. So, and as we speak, Governor Adeleke has not finished paying the backlog of half salary. They are lying. I want people to realize that. He has not paid even pensioners, the unbonded pensioners of over 2,000.
Mr. Adeleke,
he has not paid from
Mr. Adeleke,
2025.
My apologies, but they said they paid all of that. And remind me if I'm wrong, I don't know whether former Governor Oyetola was actually paying full salaries because of how the resources were managed, he had to manage those the payment of salary. I agree with you totally that salary payment should not be an achievement in any administration, but I'm using that as a pointer. So was Oyetola paying full salaries, even though he was paying promptly?
Jeffrey, Oyetola was paying full salary throughout the first year. Read my lips. Full salary of worker for 4 years. I served in that government. Jeffrey, not only that, Oyetola paid 97 billion out of salary arrears. Read my lips, Jeffrey. This government is lying. So when you come to tell us you are paying half salary back, is that an achievement?
So Mr. Adeleke, just a moment.
Yes.
Did I hear you well? Did you say he paid full salary the first year or in the entire term that he served?
In the entire term, Jeffrey. In the entire terms, Jeffrey. 4 years. And he pays on the 25th, later 27th of every month. Throughout the 4 years. That was Oyetola for you. And let me now tell you this, because you asked about performance. See, this government, when we say it's a government that lies, we are not lying against them. We are saying the truth. Yesterday, you asked questions about the payroll fraud in Osun. I had the response of Barrister Kola Palimi, the Commissioner for Information for Governor Adeleke. It was, you feel like you are in comatose. You feel like you are not alive. Because this same Kola Adeleke was on live television to admit that those ghost workers' salary were being paid into a single account with a single BVN, with a single bank. About 5,615 ghost workers. And our question was, publish this list of the beneficiaries of from this account. This same Kola Alimi told us that probably those money were paid into a microfinance account. I mean, you feel like, Jeffrey, you feel ashamed if you are in Osun. The only pancaking and lying, 13.7 billion naira, ghost workers' money goes into a single account. And you said you petitioned EFCC. Who is deceiving who?
Well, Mr.
How
Adeleke,
about court of public opinion?
well, Mr.
Yes,
Adeleke, the Adeleke government did say in 2022, December, that former Governor Oyetola left 76 billion naira in unpaid salaries and pensions. And I believe if there were handover notes, even if there were no handover notes, the new government should know the outstandings and the gray areas left behind by the former government. But you are here saying that former Governor UUTH paid salaries throughout the 4 years in full. But this is what the new government, the current government, said upon resumption.
Okay, if you find out that Governor UUTH did not pay full salary for 4 years of his administration as at when due, please disregard everything that I've said so far. And if you now find out that Governor UUTH paid full salary for that 4 years, please do not at any point in time believe anything that comes from the mouth of any officials of Governor Adeleke. I am saying this with confidence. And I'm saying again, Buki, that this salary arrears that we are talking about, that you are paying it, you are even making workers suffer the more because you didn't pay in full. See, as I speak, they are still owing some salary arrears. It is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that is paying salary arrears. No state is expected to be owing pensioners and workers in the whole of Nigeria as of today. But Osun State is owing. The unbonded pensioners between 2016 up till date, they have not been paid. And there were protests everywhere.
All right.
All we are seeing is the pancake.
Mr. Adeleke, we're going to have to rely on other sources from the Osun Civil Service to know what exactly the real story is as far as unpaid salaries from the former administration is concerned. But let's move forward now. It would seem as if what is playing out in Osun State is a contention for political power. And I want to trail from when the current government, that's just a few months ago, by the way, the current government, Governor Adeleke, in a state broadcast, accused the former governor of sabotage against in the local government funds of Osun State, of using state institutions to withhold the allocation of local governments in Osun State. We saw that prior to that time, the former governor tried to defect to the ruling APC. According to reports, the APC didn't want him. We saw that traditional visit to the villa before, we now heard that he was not going to the APC anymore. And it would seem like, despite even his declaration of allegiance to the presidency in the presidential election, he has declared his support for the presidency, despite being a member of the Accord Party now, that the APC government still wants to wrestle power from the Accord Party-led government. Why is this so? Because this is eliciting, conjecture, if you like, permutation, that the APC is using federal might to intimidate the Osun-led government.
Thank you. Buki, let me tell you this. That Governor Adeleke is saying he will give support to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is fraudulent. It is a fraud. You know why? He even lied to his people in Osun that he never attempted to discuss his defection into APC with Mr. President. When it was known to virtually everybody that he wanted to come to APC. But he knew that he has done so badly in Osun State in terms of governor that no APC reasonable member will want to associate with Governor Adeleke, not to talk of allowing him to come into our party. The rejection was not that of former Governor UUTH alone. Governor Adeleke was rejected by the entire members of APC in Osun that no. Is it the election that we did in 2022 where about 20 of our people were killed? Is it the same governor that was sitting down when our chairman was killed in a broad daylight in the Rewole local government? Is it the same chairman that refused to recruit teachers after 3 years? And in secondary schools today in Osun, even the one they came, they have recruited. They have not resumed work. In secondary school today in Osun, Jeffrey, you'll be dazed to realize that in a particular local government, there were only one science teacher. The same teacher that is teaches chemistry, biology, even teaching Yoruba in Osun State. Is that bad? So, and let me quickly say this. Jeff.
We're totally out of time. Yeah.
It is all about lying and lying. I will tell you this. On radio and television, the spokesperson of Governor Adeleke claimed to are feeding students from primary 1 to 3 in Osun with 32 million naira every day. It is a lie. Ask anybody. They are not feeding students. They have cancelled the whole meal. It was the regime of Governor Yetola that did fed students for that for years. It's all lying. You need to come around to see things yourself. The people of Osun are tired of this
as we need to wind down, let's start winding down. Just a moment. Just a moment, sir. If you can hear me. So I'm looking through the numbers and the records to show that under the APC administration of Governor Ralph Aregbesola, there were modulated salary payment, meaning that depending on your grade level, you paid a certain amount. I think the lower cadre were paid full salary, and then somewhere in between were paid about 75%, and then the big boys were paid about 50%, and that was carried into the administration of Oyetola, who later stabilized it. So I wanted to put that on record for the people of the audience that are watching. And then let's talk about local government that has been the battle.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Yeah.
The battle that you guys have been fighting. And that's, besides the issue of that payment, is what was the argument between this current administration and that administration as to the arrears of those modulated salary, which came to about 75 billion, which everybody's arguing whether it existed or not. But when we do the maybe governorship debate, we'll bring that up, perhaps. Let's talk about local government. Is it the APC chairmen that are in charge of the local government as we speak, and are they receiving funds directly from the federation?
Thank you. Before I answer that, you don't call a debate. In 2022, before election, there was a debate where Governor Adeleke said he will bring investors to Osun State. He will call Dangote. He will bring dollar, Ibaga. I am quoting him. He will bring $10. He will bring euros, Ibaga. We have not seen Dangote. We have not seen $10. We have not seen a single investment in Osun in the last 3.5 years. Then I go to the local government issue. The administration of the local government in Osun today is under the leadership of APC duly elected chairmen and councillors. There were so many court cases, more than 10. The PDP never won one. The case has gotten to Supreme Court, and there was a Supreme Court judgment that affirmed the authenticity of the current administration of the local government.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm told we have just about 30 seconds. So you've answered who is in charge. My next question, please, if you can answer straight, are they collecting money directly from federation, from the federal government, or they are collecting money from JAC?
Read my lips, Jeffrey. Local government allocation comes from the federal government. And the authentic chairmen and councillors are in charge of the council. And they are doing what they're supposed to do. They graded
yes.
And purchase a lot of security equipment. Osun is getting back on the track. We are telling the people of Osun that the dwindling reputation of Governor Adeleke.
Mr. Adeleke, yes, the reason I did ask that question was because it's a bit curious that every other state is complaining that monies are not coming. You know, we still have JAC, which is a controversial issue that the president spoke about, and he told the governors, I have the yam and I have the knife. Allow this local government to function, else I will do what I have to do, because the governors are still battling how to sort that out because of JAC. So it's interesting to see, and a bit curious to see that perhaps only Osun State and maybe one other state are getting directly from the federation, others are not getting directly.
No, remember that Governor Adeleke sacked these duly elected councillors and chairmen. So we got the judgment in February 10 of 2025. So the money is being accumulated. So the fund is still there and the local government are.
Okay, Mr. Adeleke, totally out of time. I don't want to go into the legalese. I'm very familiar with all of literally all the court cases and how it went and how everybody's holding on to something. But politics is in between all of that. But almost thank you so much. Mr. Adebayo Adeleke is the Director General Osun Central APC Campaign Council, former Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs. I wish your state the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I wish I can have you for more than an hour. Thank you.
Don't worry, we'll come. No, you have to pay for that one. We'll take a break, and when we come back, two very serious issues. One has to do with what played out at the University of UUTH Teaching Hospital when we understand the EFCC showed up to get some record and things turned chaotic. And then an environmental issue that is bedeviling the people of Bille in Degema local government area of River State. Stay with us.
Welcome back. And so our next conversation has to do with an incident that played out at the University of UUTH Teaching Hospital in Akwa Ibom State a few days ago. According to the reports, the EFCC officials arrived at the hospital in what appeared to be a Gestapo style to arrest the deputy director of the CMAC, I believe the Chief Medical Advisory Council of the institution, over a matter that is within the courts and is being adjudicated upon. But the officials of the institution would not have any of it, saying that it would not be nice to arrest such a senior official and perhaps the only medical practitioner in a particular field. They would not allow him to be arrested like a common thief. But according to reports yet again, the manner in which it was conducted, led to panic, bless you, Jeffrey, within the institution, and a situation that forced many of the healthcare workers to abandon their, posts. And of course, this disrupted medical services in the institution on that day. But let's get further clarity on what transpired in the institution. Let's also find out whether indeed medical services have resumed at the University of UUTH Teaching Hospital, and what could have happened that the FCC wanted to arrest the deputy director, Professor Ikwe, I believe is his name, of the CMAC in that institution. And we hope that our guest is ready now. We have joining us for this particular conversation, Professor Anekan Peter, the chairman, Nigerian Medical Association, Akwa Ibom State chapter, who joins us virtually this morning. Professor Anekan, good morning and welcome to the morning brief. Professor Dr. Peter. He's a doctor, not a Peter. Is that the correction I'm getting? All right. We'll try to return to Dr. Peter or Professor Peter, whatever the nomenclature is. But there are concerns coming through about that particular event in the University of UUTH Teaching Hospital. And of course, there are also huge concerns about welfare of medical practitioners across board, because according to reports now, the members of the Nigerian Medical Association, medical workers, generally have downed tools amid, welfare concerns. Is that also the situation in the University of UUTH? Let's have Dr. Peter now. Let's try to see if he's back with us now. Dr. Anekan Peter, good morning. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
The audio is not so clear. We hope it gets better. But help us understand what exactly happened. Were you in the institution on this particular day when the FCC officials arrived, and what did you see?
All right, so let's see whether we can get Dr. Anekan Peters. Why they visited the University of UUTH. When things like this happen, Bukola and our audience, everybody has their different version of the same event. But what happened was, what is a fact is that there were disruptions, canisters or tear gas were fired, people, I think, were injured, there was an attempted arrest that was resisted or so. So it's just all over the place. But the EFCC has said they visited the University of UUTH Teaching Hospital to authenticate a medical report presented by a suspect under remand by Justice Oyetumo of the Federal High Court to UFA, allegedly defrauding multiple microfinance banks, including University of UUTH Microfinance Bank. The suspect had presented a medical report which required authentication by the management of the teaching hospital. They wrote to the teaching hospital, they didn't get a response, so as a last resort, officials had visited the hospital, the chief medical director, for further inquiries. This is EFCC's own account, said they were only to be locked up with false alarm and subjected to unprovoked attack by misguided staff of the facility who pelted them with stones and others. But what we're hearing from our inquiry is that it is actually the EFCC people, while some of them were trying to engage the person who was supposed to give them that report, some other officials, they were masked, came and in their Gestapo style attempted to do a few things which escalated. So who pulled the first stunts of disruption is what we're debating now. Dr. Peters, thank you for staying with us, and I hope the network is better now. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. Right.
Fantastic. I like the strength in your voice. But let's talk about, I know you were, from what I heard, you had an experience, but tell us, maybe in summary, in like 2 minutes, I just reeled out EFCC's version of their story, basically saying a suspect is being tried in court that allegedly defrauded certain microfinance banks, including the University of UUTH Microfinance Bank. So the suspect presented a report that needed authentication. EFCC wrote to the management of the hospital. They didn't get a response. That's why they came to the hospital to get the response. According to them, while they were trying to do their work, they call it misguided staff came and disrupted their work. And that escalated things even further. What is your version of the story?
Thank you so much. First, I want to say that the medical community, led by Nigerian Medical Association, is not a we versus EFCC. We commend them for the work they do in this country, for their professionalism, and for the enormous work of keeping the country safe. Not just them, all uniformed officers pay a lot of prizes for the work they do. And also want to thank my state governor for all he does in the health sector. Having said that, the hospital is a place where people run for refuge. And that's why the international conventions, even at war times, people are prevented from entering the hospital, shooting guns or dropping bombs. And they are charged with war crimes once that happen. And if you look at the situation of Nigeria today, where barely 2 years ago, we had well over 55,000 doctors in Nigeria. And today we are talking of just 40,000, 45,000 licensed medical doctors actively practicing in the country. One would have thought that EFCC would have been more sensitive when they are carrying out assignments in a place that you have people that are taken care of, the people who are vulnerable, the sick, the helpless, and medical personnel that are overworked. I tell you, as people are moving out, the doctors that are staying back have to take up their job. The medical work is not like any other work. When there is a gap, you leave it whenever it's filled. At times, I go to my office in the university and the cleaner does not sweep. The cleaner is not there and the clerk will say he will not sweep. But the medical profession is different. When the consultant comes and he doesn't see his senior registrar, there's none posted to him. He has to do the job of the senior registrar. If there is no registrar, he does the job of the registrar and even the house officer all alone. He will be doing 5 people's job, and he has to work extra hours. But EFCC had a very little issue with the teaching hospital. They sent a request for a report to be authenticated, administrative thing that fortunately had nothing to do with the teaching hospital. They just wanted to authenticate the identity and the validity of a report that carried the hospital's letterhead and a doctor purportedly belonging to the hospital. And if you heard, one of the people defrauded was University of UU, so I'm sure the teaching hospital is in close proximity to the university, and they will want to help the university to recover their money. So the issue of trying to delay the report did not come in. And as you heard from the accounts of the chief medical director and all the others working the CMAC and the DCMAC, the hospital had to carry out their due diligence. The report was minuted to the CMAC administrative protocol, which I know that the EFCC also have theirs. And that's why at times they carry out investigations for up to 6 months, at times up to a year before they start making arrests. I'm sure EFCC knows that there are administrative procedures also in other offices. But they came into the hospital without arrest warrant, without a prior invitation, none to the doctor, to the hospital, and none to the doctors involved. The doctors involved, the principal person is the CMD. Because if you are sending any correspondence, the ball stops at the CMD's desk. So if there's anybody that would have been invited by the EFCC, it would have been the Chief Medical Director, Professor Basi. From his report you have heard, he was never invited. And they just went to the hospital. And if you know, the medical practice also is different from normal civil service. As even the CMD or CMAC or DCMAC, you are still expected to do your duty, your clinical duty.
Dr. Nyeka, if I may butt in, my
yes.
apologies. Because of time, can you just, let's summarize as quickly as possible what happened?
Okay,
because
so, thank you. They went to meet the DCMAC and asked him why the report was not ready. And he told them that the CMD had minuted to him, and he was on it. He had to travel for a conference, and when he came back on Monday, he had already minuted for the card to be retrieved, and he has worked and he has the draft with him that the report will be sent to them. They didn't even want him to finish what he was saying. They dragged him and said he was under arrest. He should not touch his phone. He should not even talk. That they cocked their gun, and he was afraid. And when he was still trying to say that they should tell him his crime, they started dragging him. And in the process of dragging him out as a common criminal, he started crying, he started calling for help, and a few staff came out and wanted to ask what the problem was. And the way they had, at this point, they had even started dragging on the floor, and the staffs were angry. And some of them brought out their phones, trying to video what was happening. They brought out their guns and tried to intimidate the staff, got some of them to delete, and others I was not there at that point in time. They collected their phones. So they knew exactly that what they were doing were not correct. And Dr. Obani and Dr. Ino were on ground and trying to interview Dr. Egbe while he was still there with them. They called for backup. I mean, just administrative thing. There is no point in time EFCC has said that Dr. Ayoikwe was involved in any criminal activity at all.
So, Doctor,
they called for backup. They already came with
my apologies.
vehicles.
Yes, my apologies, got time. We want to get a full story, but we need to do it within the time we have. How many EFCC officials were there? Were they masked? How many vehicles were there? And at what point did you show up at that place so we can wrap up?
By the time I came, they were at the gate. I came in and introduced myself like every other union person. The JSU chairman also introduced himself and tried to find out what was happening. Instead of answering the simple questions, they carried their gun and hit on his head. So anybody that dared to, I came in and asked, I was shoved aside, I was tear gassed, and they started shooting guns in my presence, in the hospital, shooting a lot of tear gas. And you know what it means to have sick people, some of them with asthma. Personally, I'm asthmatic, and because of the tear gas, I developed asthma attack, and you can imagine how many more patients who are still trooping into the hospital and made the fracas, had a lot of issues.
So, Dr.
And they disrupted
Dr. Peter,
activities in the hospital.
Sorry to hear that, and we hope that you are better now. But let us know if Dr. Ikpe was arrested. Was it taken out of the premises? And then you said they came without any notice.
And taken out of the hospital and taken to their custody. And as law-abiding citizens and as people in the union, our power is to advocate for our members and protect the interests of our members. So that's what happened.
So you also said that they came without prior notice, but according to the EFCC statement, they had written 2 letters requesting the authentication of that suspect's medical report, but they didn't get any response from the institution.
If they had such reports, I can assure you they would have published it in their website. If they publish it today, let them give us a copy that had acknowledgement of the hospital or the CMD that they ever did that, and also a copy that shows that they invited the hospital to the EFCC and they refused. If you know a typical medical doctor, I mean, if a medical doctor is invited by EFCC, I can assure you he will show up. And if they don't show up and they are arrested, of course they have their houses. If you are invited, you can go to their house and arrest them. But certainly not in the hospital where you know there are people who are very vulnerable, sick people, and you go there to shoot guns, shoot tear gas, and operate as if it was a war zone. It was completely uncalled for. They could have been more civil and they would have still gotten what they wanted. To arrest anybody they wanted, I mean, if they had the power, but I also know that they didn't even have the power because the EFCC Act 2004 does not give them power over administrative issues like this.
Indeed.
If the hospitals try to obstruct their processes, they have the power. But in this case, the hospital was already carrying out due diligence on the request and would have issued, in fact, Professor Ayoikwe told them that they are going to get the report that same day that the draft is already on his table, which he showed them. So it was not about trying to obstruct their processes or any criminal or any of the officers of the teaching hospital connected with the fraud in issuance of the letter that was sent out.
All right. So the clarity that we have now indeed shows that, you know, the main subject matter, which was to obtain a medical report of a suspect, well, is mere administrative. And the manner in which it went about, the FCC went about doing this is totally condemnable, if indeed what you're telling us about how the institution was invaded and, you know, tear gas being shot, an attempt to arrest the deputy director of the CMAC, then the chaos that has transpired as a result is totally needless. Now, as we wind down now, help us know if indeed the medical report of this suspect has been authenticated and the status of Professor Ekpe. Has he been released?
The medical report has been authenticated by the hospital. The report was sent on a fake letterhead. A purported doctor is not a member of a doctor in the teaching hospital or anywhere in this near the teaching hospital. And this has been done, and the report was sent to the EFCC because it was already ready, as the DCMA had told them. That day that the draft was ready, it was just to put it, to type it and send to them. He came back on Monday, and the next day the report was ready. And they refused to listen to him. So the report is ready, and because of the pressure we started putting in, NMA had a meeting. Immediately the incident happened, and had suspended activities. Both the MDCAN and ARD, who are affiliates of NMA, started first, suspended activities in the hospital. And then the NMA had their meeting and suspended activities, resume our suspended strike because we have a standard protocol when there is crisis.
Yeah, doctor.
And so because of those pressures, I'm sure that's why it didn't take they didn't spend 20 minutes in EFCC. So what was all the drama for?
All right, doctor. So as we speak now, we've tried to reach EFCC to come on the show, but they haven't come. And as I say, I don't know what would have led, because they are saying the staff of the hospital raised false alarm and stoked this fire. But firing tear gas at the hospital premises, I don't know what is the premise that should even happen in the first place.
And gunshots.
And gunshots.
Live bullets.
I can imagine people with hypertension.
In my presence, I'm not saying a reported speech.
Yeah, so I think I want to call on the EFCC chairman, Mr. Lukoyede, to further probe into this. Beyond this statement is not enough. We all have the copy of the statement. But that was a medical facility, a teaching hospital, gunshots fired, tear gas fired. Was it that the lives of the officials were at risk? What exactly would have prompted? Because discretion would have been applied. This is just a administrative issue. Without taking sides on all of this, just looking at that facility itself, that should never have happened. But we would like to hear beyond what is written in their release what is. But I want to ask you, doctor, I was trying to extend an invitation because this is important. As we speak, the hospital is not functional. Everybody is on strike. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And that is the teaching hospital of the entire state. How long have you been on strike?
The only tertiary hospital in this state as of today.
Okay, how long have you been on strike?
We've been on strike since the incident day before yesterday.
So what will make you come back to work?
We've given we've served them with the minimum requirements, which is public apology, and also they should also arrest all those who came to the hospital, all their staff. And
Doctor, can you hear me? Oh dear, I hope we can get Dr. Anyekan Peter.
Prosecute them.
All right.
We are calling on conjunction with the federal government to help us.
Okay. If we heard you correctly, sorry, the network distorted.
To set up an independent committee of inquiry into this case, because this is one too many. Doctors are harassed by patient relatives. Doctors are harassed by policemen. Doctors are harassed now by EFCC.
All right, doctor.
Something that had nothing to do with any crime.
All right,
what is our offense? Yeah. Our offense is staying back in this country to save people and do over.
All right, doctor, before my colleague comes in, apologies. While you were talking, the network was distorting, so while I was coming in, it was just a bit somehow. my own final question would be to you is, did you guys record any casualty? Did anybody die in the process, get into critical condition in the process?
As of now, we are still collecting our evidence, but none of our members died. No healthcare worker died, but a lot of people sustained injury, including union leaders. Most of the people were directly involved with union leaders, because as union leaders, we had to go and find out what the problem was, that they were operating as if they are going to carry a criminal that have stolen 20 billion of the country's, of the hospital's money. As at that time, we did not even know he had nothing to do with crime. It was just administrative thing that they didn't even have any jurisdiction from the law setting them up. They did not have any jurisdiction on the matter at all. They could only have arrested anyone who should have been the CMD of the hospital if he was trying to impede the process of getting the report. But in this case, there was nothing like that. It would have been simply handled by a phone call from the director of the EFCC in Akwa Ibom State to the director of the chief medical director.
All right. This is really sad to hear. If there's any institution that needs stability and tranquility to function, it indeed should be a medical facility. But it's cheery to note that there's no casualty in terms of death. But now that the institution has been on strike since that incident occurred, yes, I was about to ask about the patients.
Finish our investigation, because there were patients in the ward hearing the gunshot. We need to know how many patients died within that period. It's only when we finish that, we don't even know those that also developed asthma attack like me and could not make it. If you know asthmatic attack, it could take the life of anyone.
So do you have that report?
We need to collect all those facts first. We are still on it. And it's only when we finish our report that we can say that there were no casualty at all.
Well, we wonder how soon that will be now that the institution, staff at the institution are on strike. But we must anchor at this point. And thank you for helping to bring clarity to this particular incident. And, you know, our best wishes are with staff of the University of UUTH Teaching Hospital. Dr. Aniekan Peter is the NMA boss there, NMA Akwa Ibom State chapter. Thank you for coming through, Dr. Aniekan Peter.
Thank you so much for having me.
And from Akwa Ibom State, we head to River State. For about 5 months, residents of Bille community in Degema local government area have been battling gas leakage, which, you know, erupts in water, spilling over, and sometimes an outbreak of fire. What is the state of residents in that particular community as far as, you know, health is concerned and other, you know, activities that bother on daily life? Stay with us. We're going to get details after this time out.
Welcome back. Let's talk about what's playing out in Bille community in Degema local government area of River State. As a matter of fact, Onemi Denyibo is a lawyer and environmental activist meant to join us any moment from now, but we're trying to sort out the network connection. But let's tell you the reports we got about that place. There's a gas seepage. More like, the producer is going to show us that video, or some of the video, the complaint. So you can see what you're looking at. This is what they sent to us from Bille Voice. They are saying that what you're seeing is not like a fire just started. So they see gases coming out from the ground, and then this fire just erupts. They've been wondering what exactly is going on. They said this has been happening since, I think, October last year. I spoke to some of the persons, the political class representing the area, and they said they've written to NOSDRA, they've written to the NNPCL. Some things have, some officials have come from, I think, NOSDRA to take samples, but nothing of such. Because the question is the leakage that eventually gets inflamed like this, or gets this fire coming out from the ground, is it from a gas pipeline or just natural from the earth? So this is just one of the videos. There are other videos as well that has to do with water bubbling. You see in the sea, you just see an area like something is boiling. So that's the experience of the people in Bille community in Degema local government area of Rivers State. It's an oil-producing community. I understand it's where you have OML. I'm trying to remember that OML now. As soon as I get it, I will bring you up to speed. But it has oil installations in that area, and the people are crying out for help for people to just come and help them, the government to intervene. Yes, OML 18 and OML 24. That means they have, yes, so that's what you see. What you're seeing is not just, this is gas coming out just beneath the water body, and it looks like it's boiling. Literally. The people are not sure what this is. They said plants are dying, the environment is being threatened, people's health is being threatened. So you can imagine being in your house and somewhere around your neighborhood, you just smell gas. The next thing, there's fire. So that's why we invited them. But the network, I don't know whether it's going to allow us to do what we have to do. So it's more like a gas seepage in Bille community, or Bille Kingdom, that houses OML 18 and 24. From what we've learned, they have all of this oil facility. When we did our inquiry to find out whether this was from a gas pipeline, they are not quite sure. But the activists should have been able to give us insight. So, Bukola, you're not from the Niger Delta, so these are some of the problems some of the people in the Niger Delta have to deal with. So besides... So this is all part of what the gas is doing.
So besides oil spill that we see resulting in degradation of rivers and streams in the Niger Delta, affecting their aquatic life and indeed their main source of livelihoods, particularly for the agrarian population, we're also seeing another dimension to environmental degradation, of course, resulting in the hazards that have myriad implications for, normal daily life in the Niger Delta. This is also, another dimension to it, where we see gas leakage resulting in water bubbles, again, on their aquatic life. Don't forget, this is the Niger Delta, so there's a lot of water bodies, in the Niger Delta in terms of streams, rivers. So, well, I'm reading a report now, and I'd like it to be authenticated if we get Mr. Deimbo back on the show. I'm reading a report dated 2 months ago, and it's ascribed to the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas. And according to this, his aide is saying that following that report that got to the table of the Minister of State, the Nigeria Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, and the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency, NOSDRA, alongside some other operators within the OML 18 area, commenced immediate field investigations to determine the source and nature of the occurrence. And as part of the ongoing response, 2 joint investigation visits have already been made at the affected locations. During these inspections, relevant samples were obtained and forwarded to the laboratory for testing, for an analysis. And he says that preliminary assessments have so far not established any direct link between the bubbling and oil pollution, pipeline leakage, or other operational failures within the oil and gas infrastructure area. So that's one of the outcomes of that investigation by the NOSDRA, NUPRC team, and the other operators of the OML 18. Remember, it's an oil-producing area. So there is no oil pollution pipeline leakage. So what could it be? The minister has, however, emphasized that final laboratory results are being awaited to provide a definite scientific clarification. But some of the reports that are coming through suggest that what's happening is a methane gas leakage, and we know how dangerous that can be for the environment. Now, this is dated 2 months ago, and it's, you know, coming a little too late. Yes, this is since October last year, but this report is 2 months ago. So it's a little too late concerning the time this report first broke. I remember when our correspondent Charles Operum first, you know, reported this. That was October last year, and the investigation, according to this report, was carried out 2 months ago. So it should have come earlier. So why did it take a whole 3 months before the NUPRC team and NOSDRA, you know, to embark on this investigation, so which we should even confirm from our guests?
Let's even put it clear, it's been 8 months since this whole thing has been back and forth. The one that has the fire, I understand, happened 2 days ago. So it's not like something far away. So people are worried.
Yeah, so that's
yes, I understand this one happened about 3 days ago. That's according to the people we spoke to who are in the know of how this happened. So this can be very scary. You don't know whether that can happen inside your parlor or your kitchen or anywhere, because you can see it's a residential area close to where people live. And this is very, very disturbing. Somewhere in Bille, Kindown, and government has to do something as quickly as possible. We understand that the network connection of Daimbo is not working, so maybe we'll have to reschedule him for another time, because we really want to...
And we also understand that the River State government made a donation of 100 million naira to the residents. I don't know how far that will go to manage this situation or to provide a temporary measure that will, you know, enable the people go about their normal lives. We understand that schools have even had to relocate, or their, you know, learning activities have been impacted by the gas leakage, because evidently there's also an uncomfortable smell that pervades the area.
Yeah, I'm even worried about people's health.
The leakage occurs. Yes. Yeah, and that's also very important in the long term.
All right.
You know, the health of the people.
Well, I understand we will be lucky to have Daimbo, even if it's 2 minutes. Mr. Wanemi Daimbo, are you there? Can you hear us? Mr. Daimbo? Oh boy. This network is, well, I don't know. The other day we had a conversation. But just to bring you up to speed with what we are following through, we hope to have an expansive conversation so that the expert who understands what is going on and is at the vanguard of advocacy for action from government will be able to help us bring insight into this maybe some other time. But let's move on to something else and find out what you are saying across the social media. But before that,
and this
let's
is
talk about the reaction.
Interesting one. Yes, indeed,
yes.
Jeffrey.
Was it yesterday?
Yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday we hosted the Isoko people, Isoko North and South. There's a gentleman who is at the vanguard of bringing advocacy for young people to read and become leaders, and finding out that the young people are not doing well because of basic infrastructure like power. Isoko, according to him, has not had light for 10 years. You heard me right, 10.
And he said in some other communities for more than 10 years.
And they have oil blocks, including over 100 oil wells and several flow stations yet. So this is when you hear about the dilemma of the Niger Delta, Bukola, this is what we're talking about. You know, this is our cash cow, and look at what the people are subjected to. But let's read the reaction from the people who watched the show yesterday. Said, Obaro is very correct with what he's saying. Uzere is from Isoko, and we don't have light in our communities for the past 10 years. We decided to purchase gas turbine. We currently using gas turbine because of absence of electricity. This is coming from Uzere.
And this one is from Ikea Kanam, who says, I would like to inform you that when it comes to electricity in Delta State as a whole, it's in a mess. I believe that's what he's trying to say. Antioch North local government area, for instance, has been without light for more than a decade now. Not only Isoko, the whole Delta State.
Oh, well, we'll have the Commissioner for Energy to go and put that record straight, whether it's correct or not. This from Oro Michael. It says, the Isoko issue concerning the light is very terrible. I'm from Isoko North. Just as Obaro complained, I personally have met those of our leaders, but unfortunately they behave as if I am bothering them for a problem they presume that it cannot be solved. I really don't understand their intent over the line. I think anybody who is running for Senate position in Delta South, House of Reps position in Delta South, House of Assembly position in Delta South. No, that should not be correct. Delta South should be the senatorial position. The federal constituency that Isoko belongs to, and the House of Assembly representative that Isoko, the people that represent the people of Isoko, I don't think they should get the people's vote. It's as simple as that. I'm not spoiling your business. I'm saying this is just basic for you to provide. If the federal government is responsible, you should push the federal government
and it's simple, you know, for instance,
and the governor too may not also get votes there because the people will say he didn't do well for them.
Yeah, and Oro Michael is also giving us an insight into what may be playing out as far as conversations with the government may be concerned over this matter. Oro Michael said, I personally have met those of our leaders.
Yes,
but
I just read that.
Yes, I'm just reiterating it. They behave as if I am bothering them over a problem they presume cannot be solved. So if leaders in Isoko or in Delta State presume that this problem cannot be solved, then that's a very fundamental challenge, because governance is about problem solving. And sometimes it doesn't rarely have to do with those who are charged with that responsibility directly. It's about engagement as far as that position is concerned. So if a state assembly member is positioned to be, you know, one representing that particular area, Isoko North and South, the assembly member can take up this conversation with perhaps the member of the cabinet responsible for power, and then, you know, deliberations can, you know, take place and lead somewhere, you know, where resources can be made available to solve the problem. Maybe not in the short term, but in the long term. But 10 years is a long time.
For an oil-producing community.
Yeah, for an oil-producing community, suggesting that nothing significant has been done in 10 years to ensure that power goes to that particular community, and it's really sad.
So this is calling on Governor Sheriff Oborowore. I have avoided calling him but now we have to call him because the federal government, through the president, has decentralized power generation, distribution, and all of the ecosystem. So it's time for you to rise, else if these Isoko people may not vote for you. And I know you need their votes. So all of you who are looking for votes, go and give Isoko people lights so that they can have light. But must thank you so much for your time and company. As always, our job is to bring you up to speed and spotlight issues around communities. And Sunrise Daily is up at the top of the hour.
Let's not forget, Bille community is in a hazardous situation right now, and those who should do something about it should return to that community. If that investigation has been carried out, what is the definite final outcome pointing to the source of the leakage such that it can be solved?
I'm Jeffrey Uzonga.
Yes, indeed. We'll be back again tomorrow for the home stretch. I am Bukola Koka.
Bye-bye.